Hi everybody.
Hi everybody, welcome to Season 3, Lockdown Light. The Paul and Priscilla Show. We're back.
Why are you speaking with an American? You're like our grandchildren. They watch so many American cartoons
That's
on
true.
TV.
They talk like
They've all got
Americans.
American accents.
They
You're
do.
sounding like them.
I am. I'm sounding like, what do you call that show, Ron something, Anchorman. That's an Anchorman. So we're back to that again. So we're all set and ready to go for the new year for Lockdown Light. What? How'd you get on this Christmas, just by the way?
Well, we
What a
we
good
actually
time,
had
didn't we?
it was crazily chaotic.
Set up a wee bit.
I'm disappearing. It was a bit sort of crazy, chaotic, but wonderful.
Yes, we didn't have all the family here, just, in case you thought we were.
But it was nice to see some of
Yes,
them.
it was.
And we missed the ones that weren't here.
That's true, and we're trying to clean up afterwards. Like, I mean, we love having them. They do trash your house. To be honest
So Paul's in
with you.
clean-up mode.
Yeah. Anyway, we're back. We thought it's another lockdown. Call it Lockdown Light.
Well,
Why are we calling it that, Priscilla?
Well, because when you listen to the news,
Yeah,
it
it's
really
dark,
it
isn't
is
it?
dark.
It's not
It's
great.
gloomy. The only
Yeah.
gleam of hope is the vaccine, but we're back to nearly the beginning. Of when we went
Yes,
into
back
lockdown before,
March.
and I actually have been reading. I decided I would start to read a gospel at the beginning of the year, and I'm reading John's gospel, and so I was in John chapter 1. And I was really struck by the fact that John says that he's a witness to the light. And I thought, well, that's what we're called to
Yeah.
as well. And when everything around us is doom and gloom, the call of God on our lives is still to witness to the light. So that's what put it in my head that we should call this.
It is very
Lockdown
easy to
Light.
get sucked into it, isn't it? I mean, we kind of watch the news in the morning, the 8 o'clock-ish news, and then we've quit the rest of the day because we can't face it, because it really does drag you down. Now, it's not that we don't want to face reality, but I think that you can get locked into negativity, you can get locked into always saying what's wrong with this. Why didn't the government do that earlier? Why are they doing that now? And I mean, they're all valid questions, I get that, but that's not our primary calling as the people of God.
I know, and I mean, I think especially at the minute, wherever we find ourselves, and thinking especially about people who are on the front line that we have prayed for,
Yeah.
and also supported, our healthcare services, our teachers, people who are out
Yeah.
there, and just feeling too that those that really belong to Jesus are carriers of the light into those
That's true,
very
actually.
difficult situations as well, but also feeling when things are removed from you and taken away from you, we probably were hoping that maybe this year travel would open up again, and it hasn't. So you start to think, well, Lord, what am I doing for you, or what should I be doing for you? And sometimes then it is good to go back to the basics, that we are still
our call?
called to witness the light. Actually, this morning on the news, there was a guy who said, well, at the minute we're putting our hope in science and society, which really struck me. He was saying vaccines coming,
Science.
and also society, in that if we all play our part. And I thought, well, I am so glad that there is a vaccine, and I am so glad for when people are pulling together, but that's not where my hope is. My hope is in that, the light that's what we celebrated at Christmas time. The light has come into the world. And I suppose too, I was saying, oh Lord, I don't want people to put their hope in the vaccine. I want them to put their hope in you, and have been praying that God would move in power, etc., etc. And then I realised, I think I'm a bit with God the way I am with you. It drives Paul nuts that, if he says something that I think is a bit too hard or something, I try to explain you to the world.
You do.
And you don't like
No, I
it.
don't like it at all. As you used to say to the children, what your daddy meant was, and I go, no, I meant exactly what I said.
So I think I'm so used to doing that with Paul. I actually think I do that with God as well. I'm going, God, if you would only do this and if you would only do that, it would make you look good in the eyes of the world. But actually in John 1, it talks about Jesus, the light of the world, coming, the light for everyone. And yet he wasn't embraced by everyone. He wasn't accepted. He was rejected. And God had to remind me again today, you don't have
You
to
don't
look
need
out
any
for my
defending.
reputation.
No, exactly.
And you still can put your hope in me and not focus on all of the negatives that you're hearing, and also from the fact that people are saying, no, this is where we're putting our hope. Well, if we're witnesses to the light, we're saying we're putting our hope in the light of the world. We're putting our hope in you, Lord.
And there's nowhere else to go. I've been reading about a revival that took place in the 20s in Lowestoft.
Where's Lowestoft?
It's
Sorry
way
for
over
those
there
of you
somewhere.
who live
It's in England.
Lowestoft.
It's East Anglia. It's
Somewhere.
Lowestoft, Southwold, that sort of direction. And the writer just recalling how it's the forgotten revival, but it came out of great hardship whenever after the First World War, when the fishing industry, believe it or not, had gone into decline because the Russians weren't buying the fish and the Germans weren't buying the fish, and so there was a great hardship. And
why were they not banned fish?
well, because there was a deep poverty after the First World War in Germany, and because of the Bolshevik Revolution, they weren't buying English fish.
Oh, right, okay.
And so there was a huge, there was a herring market, and out of that came somebody who began to preach the gospel, and I began to think again. You know, it was the same in Northern Ireland in the 20s, whenever it's the 100th birthday of Northern Ireland this year. But actually, out of that came a huge amount of community conflict. But out of that came a man called W.P. Nicholson, William Patterson Nicholson, who began to preach the gospel. He wasn't a minister. He began to preach, and thousands of people came to Christ. And the very people who were so hard against others in the shipyard, they were the prime. It was the working classes that came to Christ. I'm just thinking to myself, you know, the gospel isn't hindered.
Yes.
The gospel isn't hindered, no matter what the situation is, no matter what the circumstances are. We need to reassure ourselves that although we can't open or are not advised to open on a Sunday morning, that's not all about what the church is about. We can still do lots of other things. I can't wait till we get back to opening properly again on Sundays, no question about that. But the reality is the gospel isn't hindered. God will shine his light.
Absolutely.
And that's our confidence. It's not in science, it's not in the community. Fantastic that that's happening. It's in the gospel and in what Jesus has done for us. So let's keep our chin up.
And keep on being witnesses.
Lockdown light.
Witnesses to the
Is
light.
is that a book of poems still available from PriscillaReid.com or Call at the House?
And thank you for everybody who has bought it. It's been such a blessing, and I hope you are enjoying them. And if you have maybe got one, and I'm not twisting your arm up your back, but if you did enjoy it, maybe you'd give us a wee shout out on social media so that
others can enjoy it.
So this is one.
I feel a poem coming on.
This is one called "Breaking Light" from the book, and it's Isaiah 58. Then your light will break forth like the dawn. The glory of sunrise beckons, the gasp of wonder and joy at the breathtaking beauty, when the faithful sun rises and does what it was ever made to do, reflecting His glory. Would that the world would pause and wonder at such beauty rising, as the church reclaims what it was ever called to be, to loose the chains of injustice, to feed the hungry, clothe the naked, set the oppressed free, to toil in the dirt and dust of life, and shine His dark, dispelling light. And I think we can still do that. Even in lockdown, we can still do that.
Have a great day. Bye.
Bye.